On January 1st of 2024, I weighed in at my heaviest weight of 343 pounds. At that time in my life, my physical health was obviously not great, and my physical endurance was awful. Like, I literally remember I could not even walk a full lap around a track without having to stop to, first of all, catch my breath, but also just because my back literally felt like it was gonna snap in half. It was to the point where I could not walk for long distances without being in excruciating pain. Over the course of the past year of 2024, I did manage to lose 111 pounds. And one thing that I am very proud of during that process is that I have established a consistent gym routine. I go to the gym 5 days a week. I started out in the very beginning at my highest weight. I committed to 3 days a week, and I kept that commitment, and then I gradually increased it. Gaining endurance and progressing in the gym and getting stronger honestly has been a journey on its own. Aside from the weight loss, it's almost like its own entity in a way, because I feel like where I started in the very beginning, both mentally and physically at the gym, versus where I'm at now is like two completely different people. A few months ago, I had posted a beginner friendly, like shy girl leg day routine for the gym, and I since then have kind of added to and altered my routine a bit. And so today I just kind of wanted to do an updated gym routine for you guys. I would say that this is probably beginner to intermediate-ish friendly, so definitely take what you want and leave the rest. I also will say that I am in no way like professionally trained in working out or anything. I'm not a personal trainer or anything like that. I am just a girl who has been teaching herself how to work out at the gym and how to lift weights. I will say, by no means do you have to join a gym or even work out to lose weight. Obviously, if you have physical limitations, you don't have to work out to lose weight. But I will say that if you decide it's something you want to pursue, the benefits are honestly just amazing and well worth it, and well worth the effort. When I first started out at over 340 pounds, I was, first of all, incredibly shy at the gym and self-conscious, and I feel like that's normal. I think everyone goes through that, and it took me a long time to work through that to get where I'm at now, to where I am much less self-conscious. Like, don't get me wrong, there's still situations where I feel uncomfortable at times, but overall I have a lot more confidence, and that has come naturally just over time. But if you are just starting out and you feel intimidated by the gym, just know that it's normal, and try to keep in mind that the people that are at the gym are more focused on themselves and what they're doing. They're more self-centered at the gym, and so they're not paying as much attention to you as you think they are, like in your mind maybe. And I feel like that's true for anyone. When you think about it, when you go to the gym and you're very self-conscious and very aware of yourself and how you're looking, you're in your own mind about yourself. You're not looking at other people and judging them. So the odds that other people are doing that to you are very low. Today I'm going to be sharing my leg day routine, and I basically, the way I break it down is I do 30 minutes of cardio 5 days a week, and then I do 2 leg day sessions a week on top of the cardio, and then I do 1 upper body day. So today I'm going to go over my leg day, and I'm just going to start from the very beginning. I do have notes on my phone, so that is what I'm looking at. First things first, we walk into the gym. The first thing I always do is warm up, and I do a 10-minute cardio warm-up on the elliptical. Now, there are lots of cardio machines. You don't have to do the elliptical. There's the treadmill, there's the bikes and stuff, but for me, I like the elliptical. Also, when I was starting out at my heaviest, the elliptical was easier on my back. Like, for some reason, it just puts less pressure on your lower back, or at least it did for me. I had a harder time walking on the treadmill than I did doing the elliptical. But basically, warming up is just really important because it just literally gets your body warmed up. It gets your blood pumping through all of your vessels and just gets you to where you are less prone to injury. And personally, I also feel like it helps get me mentally in the headspace to work out. I just put on a good playlist and I get myself pumped. I do take pre-workout with every workout. I know it's controversial, some people don't like it. Personally, I feel like pre-workout is a necessity for me. So on the elliptical machine, there is usually two little arrows or buttons that basically control the resistance and the incline. At the time that I filmed myself at the gym, I was doing an incline of 8 and a resistance of 4. I have since then increased it. I'm now doing an incline of 9 and a resistance of 5. They go up to 10 and 10. When I first started out in the very beginning, I did 0 and 0. So like I said, just start where you're at. If you are a very beginner, or if you haven't worked out in years and you're just trying to get back into it, do not feel pressured to overexert yourself. And especially if you're much heavier. When I was over 340 pounds, like the resistance was my body, you know, like when you are moving 300 plus pounds actively, like that puts a lot of pressure and resistance on your body just naturally. So you may not necessarily need to add resistance or add weight to it. Just something to keep in mind. So I pay attention to the strides per minute, and for the first 2 minutes I try to aim for anywhere from like 120 to 130 strides per minute, and then at the 2-minute mark I'll bump it up to 150 to 160, sometimes even 170 strides per minute. I've talked about this in my last video I did, but one thing that I like to do is try to find songs that I like that have like a fast beats per minute. Try to match my cadence with the music. I feel like that's just fun. At the 4-minute mark, I will go back down to 120 to 130, and I just keep alternating until I hit the 10-minute mark, and that is my cardio warm-up. And then I will move right on to stretching. Stretching is really important, especially if you are going to be doing resistance training or weightlifting. You really don't want to injure yourself, and so stretching kind of helps again with minimizing your risk of injury. At my gym, they have this little seat. It's called a pre-core stretch machine, and it's basically just a little like stool that you can kind of get a deep stretch on. It really helps stretch out your lower back and your hips. They have like a literal diagram on it that shows you how to use it and what stretches you can do on it, and so I just do a few of those. I really liked it, especially starting out, because when I was heavier, it was difficult for me to get on the floor and do certain stretches and stretching out my hips and stuff. I just felt like it was easier for me to have this little bench chair thing to sit on and get my leg propped up and stuff. And I still use it today. I think it gives a really good stretch, but I start with that. Then I will move over to the mat and start doing some dynamic stretches. And basically dynamic stretching is like, instead of stretching and holding it like in a certain position, you are moving. So like doing the world's greatest stretch, you know, instead of just holding it, I'll go back and forth, and I'll do that a couple times. That is really good, especially when you're doing leg day. Dynamic stretching of your legs and stuff just helps to, again, get everything really warmed up and makes you less prone to injury. After I'm done stretching, I will stay in the same area, and I had just been doing some really beginner-friendly core exercises. I did not start trying to do core exercises until like very recently, like the past maybe 1 or 2 months ago, I'm talking. I feel like, especially after having a C-section and stuff, my core, I know is shit, but it was kind of an area that I felt self-conscious about trying to improve or trying to work out in front of people, because I carry most of my weight in my midsection. And so, I don't know, for me, it just always felt intimidating to try to do core exercises at the gym. But I have recently been doing some, and I feel like I have noticed that I am getting more core strength, which is really nice. So I'm gonna share this, but again, take it with a grain of salt, because just keep in mind, I don't know what I'm actually doing, but this is what I'm doing. So I start with some dead bugs, and any exercises that I mention, I would recommend looking up like the proper form, and actually from like someone who knows what they're talking about. There are tons of YouTube, and even TikTok has tons of personal trainers that can actually walk you through the correct form and how to do them properly. But once you get the form down, they are very effective for your core. And I will say, out of all of the core exercises I've tried, these are the ones that make me, like, I literally feel sore the next day. And they are difficult, they are challenging, and currently I'm only able to do 3 sets of 5. So it's something you might have to work your way up with and build up strength doing. I know I certainly did. I will start with 3 sets of 5 reps of dead bugs, and then I try to rest for at least a minute in between sets, and then I will move into modified knee bent leg raises. And I superset these with a fully extended leg raise. So I'll do 10 of the knee bent ones, and then I'll go straight into 8 of the regular. And I do each leg, I do 3 sets. And I will say, like, these exercises, they look easy. When I was looking them up and seeing other people do them, they look easy. But if you have no core strength and you try to do these for the first time, like, they can be challenging. And so don't underestimate that, and just know that if you aren't able to fully do some of them right away, like, you're not alone. I wasn't able to do a dead bug fully when I first tried, and it was kind of embarrassing because I was around a bunch of other people trying to do it. And for the last core exercise, I do some bird dog exercises, and that's basically where you're on all fours and you're extending one arm and the opposite leg at the same time. And I will do 3 sets of 10 reps of these, and they're actually more challenging than you would think as well, especially just like keeping your balance. It takes a little bit of practice, but yeah, those are the beginner friendly-ish core exercises I've been trying to do. And I feel like if you are like me and you have no core strength, it might be a good place to start just trying some beginner friendly exercises. After I am done with the core exercises, we will go downstairs and start our actual leg day. The first exercise I like to do, and you can do these in any order, I find that doing the hardest ones, or at least the ones that take the most energy, first is best, because it can be difficult to do like hip thrusts at the end of a workout because you just get tired, your muscles get tired. So I try to start with the most intense workouts in the beginning. And so I will start with hip thrusts. And for this, at the gym I'm at, they have an actual like bench that is pretty much made for it. And so I just set that up with 2 plates on each side to kind of prop up the barbells so that it's not just flat on the ground. That just gives me a little bit more space for my legs, to get my legs under the barbell. And it just makes it easier also to get it off the ground. Set myself up with that. Currently, I think at the time of filming, I was using 35 pounds or maybe 40. As of today, I did 45 pounds for the first time, so I was proud of that. But when I first started out, my very first time trying it, I had a 15 and a 15 on each side, and that was difficult for me to get up off the ground. So again, some of these things are not necessarily super beginner friendly, but I would say intermediate. I do 4 sets of 7s, so that's 7 full range of motion, and then 7 casts, glute bridges, and then I hold it at the top for 7 seconds. And I do that 4 times. So basically you have your full range of motion hip thrusts. These basically just target your gluteus maximus, your butt, and that's really one of the best exercises that you can do if you're trying to grow a booty, which I definitely am, because I've been trying. It's difficult, but it's supposed to be one of the best exercises you can do. And I feel like, yeah, as I've kind of grown in my gym journey, I feel like now I am getting more so focused on kind of trying to do some body recomp and just trying to build muscle in areas that I want to be bigger, like my butt. Currently, I am more of an apple shape because, again, I carry most of my weight in my midsection. Thank you, PCOS. And so, yeah, that's just kind of what I've been doing here recently, though, is really trying to focus on growing my glutes as much as I can. And one fun fact, and I've mentioned this before, but for anyone who doesn't know, if you have PCOS, the only benefit, because there is one benefit that I have found, and that is that we grow muscle more easily than women without PCOS because we have increased testosterone levels. So in theory, it should be easier to grow an ass, but in practice, I don't know. I'm having a hard time doing it, but I am trying. So like I said, I do 7 full range of motion, and then I do 7 CAS. It's KAS, and basically it's just a variation where you don't go down fully. You pretty much go down until you see your knees start to bend inward, and then you go back up. And these surprisingly are harder to do than like the full range of motion ones, just because it's activating more of the glute maximus than anything. And whereas the full range of motion, you're using your quads and stuff as well. I do 7 of the CAS, and then I hold it at the top for 7 seconds, and these burn. And I will say, like, if you can't do 7s at first, maybe start with 6, 6, 6, 6, or even 5, 5, 5. Like, start where you're at. And again, as far as the weight goes, definitely I wouldn't recommend starting out at like 45 on each side if you've never done them before. Go with a lighter weight until you can get the proper form down, and then build your way up. And also, something to keep in mind is when you are doing these exercises to build your glutes and things, you want to look into progressive overload. And in order to do progressive overload, you don't want to start at the very high end of what your body can handle. You want to start low and work your way up, because you can't progress if you start at the top. But progressive overload is really a great way also to build muscle wherever you're trying to build muscle. So just something to keep in mind as well. Start low and work your way up. After I am done with my hip thrust, I have recently been incorporating step ups, which, again, these, if you've never done them before, be prepared to be humbled. I was humbled when I first tried. They look easy. Like, when you see other people do them, like on TikTok and stuff, like these girls, they make it look easy. And then you get yourself set up to do it, and it's like, oh God, I didn't realize that I have no strength in just one leg. So basically, it's where you are putting all of your weight on one leg and stepping up on a bench. They're difficult. They're difficult. But I will say that I've been doing them for maybe a month or 2 now, and they've gotten easier. I've gotten better at it. It takes practice. But once you get these are a really great exercise to include, especially if you're really trying to grow your glutes. Hip thrusts, and then some form of a single leg exercise. Those are gonna be really beneficial for that. I just use a kettlebell, and I don't even know what weight I'm using right now. I know it's just the smallest one that they have. And I really only use it as kind of a way to just remind myself while I'm doing it, like, of the proper form. Basically, you want to try to lean forward, and you really want to focus on pushing up with the one leg and not using your other leg to help push you up. And that's how you really get the most benefit out of the exercise. I will do 7 of these on one leg and then switch to the other leg and do another 7, and then I will take a break for at least a minute, and I do 4 sets of those. They are challenging starting out, but once you get the proper form down and get practice, and also once you build strength with it, they get easier. Those are 2 of my harder exercises that I try to hit first because they do take more energy from me and they do fatigue my muscles pretty quickly. After I am done with my step ups, I will move on to the hack squat machine. If your gym doesn't have one of these, a good alternative would be the leg press or a Smith machine. So on the hack squat machine, as far as weights go, I start out with 2 45-pound plates, 1 on each side. I will do 2 sets of supersets with that weight, and then I will add 25 pounds to each side after that and do 2 more sets. So I do 10 good mornings, and then I superset it with 8 wide stance squats. And what a superset is, it is basically where you just go from one exercise and you go straight into another one without any rest in between. And this pretty much just increases the intensity of the workout, and that can help with increasing muscle strength and growth. The good mornings are targeting your hamstrings, glutes, core, and it's basically more of a hinge movement, whereas a squat you are doing more of a compound movement, meaning you are using like multiple muscle groups to do it, and it's a little bit more difficult. I do 4 sets of that total, and I progressively overload with the weights and then also with the intensity by supersetting it. That also helps with progressive overload. If you're just starting out though, again, you don't have to do 4 sets. If you're just starting out, I would honestly recommend more so doing maybe 3 sets and maybe doing like a superset with 8 good mornings going into 5 or 6 squats, and then over time increase it, and that is what progressive overloading is, and that's how you get better results. Another tip, if your gym does have a hack squat machine, you could also try doing step ups with this. I was doing that for a while when I first was trying to build strength to do them, and it does help. You just load up less weight than obviously what you're pushing with your squats. I think I would do like 15 on each side, maybe even just 10, and then you just kind of step backwards but not putting weight on that back foot, and then you push up with the working leg. You could also do them on the hack squat machine, again, if your gym has one, and then it's like you're killing like 3 birds with 1 stone kind of thing, which is something I like. I like using a machine in multiple ways so that I'm not having to move around the gym so much. And then after I'm done with the hack squat machine, I will move into doing some cable kickbacks. I will put the little pull down deal at knee height. Currently I do 30 pounds. I feel like lighter weight is better with these because it's easy to mess up your form with it and cause back pain. So I feel like higher reps and lighter weight is just better with the cable kickbacks. For these, I also do a superset. So I start with 10 just straight forward kickbacks, and these are targeting mainly your gluteus maximus. I will do 10 of those, and then I will superset it with 8 45-degree angle kickbacks. I don't really know what the term is for them, but it's essentially targeting more of your gluteus medius, which is like the side of your glutes kind of. I really like these though, and once you get the proper form, I will say when I was heavier and trying to do these, they did cause a lot of back pain for me, and I don't know what changed, if it's my form that I've corrected or if it's just getting that pressure, that weight off of my lower back. But now when I do them, they really don't hurt my back as long as I'm doing them correctly. I would say when I was larger though, I definitely had a harder time doing these for some reason. I will do 4 supersets of those, and then we're gonna move over to the hip abductor machine. So essentially this is the one where you are pushing your legs out. You have your hip abductor, which is pushing out, and then the hip adductor, which is where you are squeezing your thighs together. You're like adding them together. That's how I think of it. According to Google, the hip abductor machine targets the outer thigh muscles, specifically the gluteus medius and minimus, to improve hip stability, balance, and lower body strength. So yeah, basically we're working our outer thighs. This machine will grow your quads, and I have noticed that my quads feel like they've gotten more muscular, and some people may not like that look. Personally, I like it. I think it looks good. I feel good about it. Just something to keep in mind, because I know like there are certain people who are wanting to grow your glutes without growing your legs, and so if that's your goal, then maybe don't do these exercises and just focus on more so the like booty exercises. For this machine, I put it to 110 pounds, and I will do 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps, just kind of depending on how I'm feeling, how exhausted I am at that point. And one tip is to try to lean forward when you're doing them. Like, don't put your back against the back of the seat, and when you lean forward you'll feel it more in like your thighs and even in the sides of your glutes. After that, I do move over to the hip adductor machine, and this is basically just working your inner thighs. For this machine, I set it to 100 pounds, and I will do 3 to 4 sets of 10 to 12 reps as well. I like this machine. I do feel like it has helped kind of slim down my inner thighs, which is nice, and if that's something you're interested in, I do recommend this machine. I also like these machines because, at least in my gym, they are both side by side, and they're also facing a wall, so it's like I'm in my own little bubble when I'm doing them. After we are all done with our weight training, I will go back upstairs to finish up my cardio, and I will do 20 minutes on the treadmill. I do 30 minutes total of cardio, but 10 of it was my warm-up, and then I'll just finish out 20 minutes on the treadmill. For my treadmill routine, you have your speed and your incline. So I will start at a speed of 2.5 and an incline of 0, and I will do that for 5 minutes, and then I will bump it up to an incline of 3 and a speed of 3, and I'll do that for another 5 minutes. And then I will increase the incline to a 4, leave my speed at a 3. I'll do that for 5 more minutes. And then after that, I start working my way down. So I will come down to a 2.5 speed and a 2.5 incline. Every minute I go down 1 more notch until I basically get to 2.2 speed and a 0 incline. Honestly, I've been doing that routine since the very beginning. I did increase the highest incline I would go to a 4 a few months ago. Before that, the highest I would go was a 3, and I probably at this point could increase it more because it has become pretty easy for me to do this, but in the beginning it was a challenge. And so it's one of those things where, like, if you feel like you can't walk at 3 miles an hour, don't feel like you have to. Like, if you have to start at 2.5 or even lower, give yourself that grace and just know that you will build up endurance and it will get easier. I feel like this whole gym journey has really shown me that the human body is amazing, and it's amazing how we can adapt and grow, and also our blood vessels, like our circulatory system is insane. Doing cardio actually helps grow blood vessels in your heart and stuff like that, which is just crazy. But it's true, because I have noticed, when I've talked about this before, but when I had first started doing like the elliptical, when I was first trying to get into working out and stuff, they have like your heart rate monitor on the handles, and when I put my hands on the handles, it would be like my heart rate would be anywhere from like 150s to 160, just trying to go at a 0 incline, 0 resistance. and my heart rate would be through the roof. And now I'm doing a 9 and a 5, and my heart rate ranges anywhere from like 130s to 140s. So it's just crazy how your body adapts and how you build endurance, and it just feels really good. And it takes time. I've been going consistently for the past year, and I am still not a pro by any means, and I'm still learning every day, but I think it's worth it if it's something you've thought about or have wanted to try getting into. I definitely think there are a ton of benefits, both physically and mentally. So I feel like I was a bit rambly in this, and I apologize for that. But if you are just starting out though and looking for a more beginner friendly shy girl routine, you can definitely check out this video right here. And other than that, guys, I really appreciate all of you for watching. I will see y'all in my next one.